All in all, I like Xbox Game Pass, but I'm just a casual gamer who, I don't have a lot of insight in the industry and the long-lasting effects of this all-you-can-eat buffet approach that like Spotify and Netflix and Xbox Game Pass are they're executing. They're It's just like we pay a flat fee and, well, not flat plus taxes, and you pretty much get anything, all the media you can consume, right? In Xbox case, it would be video games, and I like it all in all. But like I said, I don't know the long-lasting implications or the results of what would happen of like what will happen if this service continues to grow, or if Xbox, if Microsoft monopolizes everything, which it seems to be the case now with them, with Microsoft buying out Blizzard and Bethesda and um I think Paradox Entertainment, I think Rare also, I think it's Paradox, I'm not sure, but they're buying out quite a lot of few people, a lot of publishers and video game companies in general. I can think of a few things which I actually wrote down in this little handy dandy notepad of mine here. There are some issues that I do feel are glaring, right? Like the first one, the most probably the most obvious, or maybe not, depending who you are. Everything's digital, nothing's physical, right? With some people, they have a big problem with not owning a physical copy of something, right? Whether that's a movie, whether that's a video game, whether that's some sort of a memento from an amusement park or, city or country that you visited, you need to bring back something physical that you want the tactile feel of it or whatever it may be. You need something to hold and to physically show people, to let them know that you've been there or you experienced that. And I get that because I feel like that's old as time immemorial, right? Like as long as humanity has been around, we have been collecting mementos and keepsakes and heirlooms and stuff like that. So I get that. I feel like how that would translate well now into the digital age, right? I do feel like it's a dying sentiment though, because companies have made a gigantic push to digitize everything, right? Like video game consoles. From my understanding, the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X, I believe that's the name of it. I get them so confused. These were supposed to be consoles, to my knowledge, that were supposed to be released with no physical disk drive. It was supposed to be a purely digital system, right? And if you look at the design of the Xbox, sorry, if you look at the design of the Sony PlayStation 5, right? The digital version looks like that was the original design when they were creating this console. Like they didn't the then the second version of that would be the disk drive one, right? Where you can physically put a disc in there and play, and it looks weird. It looks like it's like this looks like a tumor of some sort protruding out the side of the system. And it's like it doesn't flow, it doesn't look natural. Well, as natural as a space age design looks. But point is, like, I don't see the PlayStation 6 having a disc drive. I don't. And I just feel like we've been moving in this direction for quite a while. And there's mad benefits to it, right? Like you don't have to worry about corruption. Like by corruption I mean like, like physical corruption of the disc, that you can no longer play your media safely or at all, or it plays with skips. Like, when I was growing up we had audio CDs, and if they had scratches on them, good luck. Sometimes what song at what time would jump or scratch because of a particular defect or damage that's been done to the disc over time. You don't have to worry about that in the digital age. You just stream that motherfucker from anywhere. You can stream fucking music from your refrigerator. I don't know if that's true, but I would bet money that there's a refrigerator out there that can literally play music. Something tells me. Or you can have a toaster also that plays music, and maybe Skyrim. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't even doubt that. So there's definitely mad benefits to the digital age, but there's things I don't like, especially with Xbox Game Pass, right? Like if you have control of, if you're like monopolizing all these companies and it's if you gobble up all of these companies, you can't cannibalize. I just learned this term like 5 seconds ago from reading up the Wikipedia page on Xbox Game Pass. I didn't realize it wasn't that old. It came out 2016, so maybe what 6, 7 years old already. I don't know how to count. So, anyways, what I am saying is, if you have this giant company like Microsoft just cannibalizing other companies, and it just becomes this monopoly, this giant monolith of some sort in the video game world, it's up to them to make the rules, right? It's up to them and them alone. So it's like they can go, all right, well, you guys like, and I'm just using this game as an example. There's no particular reason why. It's just the first one that popped in my head. Like, oh, you guys like Elder Scrolls Arena? Did you guys like, there's still some people out there who would like to play that? Well, guess what? I'm going to delist it for whatever reason it may be. And now if you didn't download this game from other websites or anything like that, then you're fucked, right? You can't play Elder Scrolls Arena because this company, for whatever reason, decided to delist it. Now, the Elder Scrolls Arena is probably not the greatest example considering that Bethesda is part of Microsoft, and games like that, I don't see them getting delisted anytime soon because it is a Bethesda game, the Elder Scrolls Arena. But point is, you can insert any game, right? You see games leave all the time from Xbox Game Pass, right? They get delisted or whatever. Maybe their license expired. Maybe, you know, from what I read online, like maybe sometimes the games aren't up to snuff. Maybe they're not, there's like glaring issues or bugs, so they need to be removed. Stuff like that. Look at the case of Cyberpunk 2077. I think at one point it got delisted from the PlayStation 5 game store, which, if I'm not mistaken, was the first and only game that ever happened to. So there's a lot of fucking controversy behind that game, but that's a whole different story right there. If you hold the power, if you're a giant company that holds the power, you practically can decide what people can consume, and it's solely up to you. Not like a board of regulators, some sort of a body of authority. It's just you. You're the ones that go, I don't want no one to play this game, so no one will play this game. And all we can do is hope that other places, of course, we can find alternative means to get this game, right? In this particular case, I'm talking about video games, but this, you can also apply this to music, to movies. But like, you can always hope that other websites, you can always find an alternative way of getting that delisted game that Microsoft has delisted, right? But GOG.com, or, even more illegal means, you know what I mean? But so there's always a hope. There's always a way you can get it, at least for now. But, who knows what's going to happen to the internet, right? You think that the internet's going to stay free the way it is now forever? I highly doubt that. People love getting their grubby little paws on things, and they love control. And it's only a matter of time before they start selling the internet in parts, subscription services. From what I understand, it's already happening in third world countries. Or maybe not. Yeah, it's definitely happening in third world countries, but it's also just happening in other countries in general that are not necessarily third world. If I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, but I remember reading something along the lines of, like, in other places the internet is heavily regulated. So it's like, if you want to visit certain websites, you have to get a certain package. Like here in the States, currently, if you as long as you get an internet service provider, you can go anywhere you want on the internet. Well, anywhere reasonable, at least, right? There's no confines, there's no restraints. But in these countries, you would have to actually grab a subscription service to the specific websites that you want to visit. That's how regulated it is. It doesn't just let you patrol and surf the web all willy nilly. You would have to pay to go. You want to go to, this.com, whatever it may be, your chosen website, well, you have to pay for it. It needs to be included in this. I think that's already happening, but don't quote me on that. I read this years ago. Maybe it changed, maybe it didn't, maybe it was bullshit. You just can't believe anything you read on the internet, right? So, one giant company having to say so whether someone plays a game or not, I have a big issue with that. You know what I mean? Big one. Another one is that, they can raise prizes at any time. So, like, right now, currently, at least for PC players like myself, it's $10 a month, right? And I think you can go up higher. I think it's like $15 a month for like the ultimate. You can practically stream any game you want and all that, and all that's cool and all. But like, these prices are gonna go up. There's no way they're gonna stay $10 forever. Now you can argue that everything goes up in price with time, right? Inflation and the economy and all that, sure. But if you really do the math, they're not really supposed to. Like, I know that sounds crazy, right? But like, if you really look into how economies work and all that, like, the price doesn't need to go up higher. I'm not going to get into it because that's a whole different subject, but I've done some research on this, and it's like inflation, it's like a man-made thing, meaning that like you can pretty much, for any minor inconvenience or no inconveniences at all, you can just raise the price on things and people will just pay it. That's what I mean for the most part. Maybe I'll talk about that one another day. And actual economists and people who are really good with finance and statistics can just be like, shut the fuck up, Danny. You have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Anyways, I don't like the fact that that can happen. You know, if Xbox just decides today, oh, we're going to charge $30 a month for Xbox Game Pass, there's going to be people that pay it. They're going to bitch and they're going to complain. They're going to go online, $30 a month. And those same people who are complaining will go pay for it. Right? Like, you ever heard that old expression, vote with your wallet? Right? You can't sit here and go like, oh, junk food's a problem while you're eating Oreos. You can't do that. You can't support the companies you're bitching about. You can't have it both ways. So that's that. I believe in that strongly with everything, with food, with just everything in general in my life. I vote with my wallet, right? If I don't like it, I won't support it. It's that simple. But I do wish more people were like that, because I know way too many people that will sit there and bitch about something and then just go do it, and it drives me crazy. But that's a human tendency, man. You can't eliminate that. Um, I think I spoke this. I'm looking through this little list of mine. I think the third little point I wrote: they can delete games from history. Yeah, well, I guess that ties back to my original point, which is like, if you have like this big company that can just pretty much delist games and erase them from history anytime they want, they pretty much control the narrative, right? It's kind of like that old, not an old saying, but this actually happens. It's like when people go, "Oh, this is a list of banned books," right? Every book that's on this list, no one's allowed to read. Says who? Says who? You know what I'm saying? Like Mein Kampf, for example, right? Which is that book Adolf Hitler wrote, right? I would like to read that book. Yeah, I never read it. I'm sure I can get a copy of it, but point is, it's not exactly advertised, and rightfully so, because Adolf Hitler was a goddamn maniac, right? But wouldn't it be interesting just to read it to see what the fuck was going on with this man? Do you know what I'm saying? Like now, if anyone was to say, "Well, Dan, you shouldn't read it at all because that's like you're supporting," if you buy Mein Kampf, who are you? Who's that money go to? First of all, right? The publisher, like, obviously, right? But who is the publisher? Is he like anti-Semitic? Like, who would, did they just buy the publishing rights because it's a controversial book that can generate money? Is this publisher a real anti-Semitic organization or whatever? I don't know. But what I am saying is, like a psychologist, right? The psychologist will sit there and try to understand a serial killer. That doesn't mean just because a psychologist is spending time with them. I understand it's their job, but just because they're spending time with them in a room doesn't mean like, hey, I'm sympathizing with you and I'm trying to be all buddy buddy with you. It's like, no, motherfucker, I'm trying to understand you, right? That's how I feel with this book, and with anything else that anyone says should be banned or you shouldn't read. Like, let me be the judge of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me read it and go like, oh yeah, this is fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that, like, once again, there needs to be some sort of regulation, and I hate that word because that word it's demonized now, because we have a lot of heavy regulation on many things that I don't find makes a lot of sense, and a lot of crazy shit has been going on with vaccines and with you know fluoride in the water. Like, all this shit is controversial. I know it sounds, I just pulled out the conspiracy theory card, right? Listen, I am not the type of, I'm a very logical guy in real life. I don't walk around with a tinfoil hat, and I just don't believe everything I read on the internet. I look at facts. I'm very thorough about what I say to people, because I don't like, here's another hot buzzword of the century, right? Misinformation. Ooh, such a vague term. Right, like wokeness. Right, when people say, "Oh, that's woke," like a lot of people are just like, I remember reading this comment just yesterday. Of course, I remember it because it happened yesterday. But somebody wrote, it's this new Fallout that's coming out, right? The new show. It's coming out on Prime, Amazon, right? Amazon Prime TV. I'm not sure. Whatever. It's coming out there, and they released the trailer. And the first comment I seen was someone wrote this 3 times in a row. They wrote, "Please don't be woke. Please don't be woke. Please don't be woke." And then that person just got attacked, relentlessly by people who aren't necessarily known for critical thinking. You know, they had a lot of interesting points. Those comments are like dumpster fires. But anyways, the reason I'm bringing this up is because like woke. One of the guys wrote. One of the guys who commented to that post wrote, "What is woke? Woke is such a buzzword. No one even really knows what it is." And I'm like, I don't think that's correct. I don't think that's correct at all. I think I have a pretty good idea of what woke is, and it's a real thing, and it's really happening to all of our media, and to everywhere we go. It's getting wokeified. I don't know if that's even a real word. The problem is there's a lot of people who don't. They're not. They're not critical thinkers. So the first thing they'll do is they'll attack you. Oh, what are you, a homophobe? Oh, what are you, racist? It's like, damn, that's a really bold accusation to make, right? Like, instead of really critically thinking, instead of just for 1 second going like, maybe this person isn't a homophobe or a racist or a sexist. Maybe this person is just tired of seeing this shit applied to everything that he loves. Maybe this person isn't a homophobe or racist or sexist. Maybe this person is tired of seeing this shit in his video games, in his movies, and maybe this person does support some of this. Maybe he's okay with some minority representation, with some sexual orientation representation. Maybe he's okay with this, but maybe he feels like it's getting tired and they're doing it a little too much. And if you force something upon someone, they're going to rebel. That goes with any, insert your topic, whether that's sexual orientation, whether that's race, whether that's gender, whether that's movies, whether that's work. If you force something upon someone, they're not going to like it. They rebel. That's a typical human trait. And guess what people are doing right now with this woke shit? They're rebelling. But I guess that's a whole story for something else. I'm not here to be, you know, Alex Jones or anything like that. Dude is fucking nuts. It's funny as hell, but he's nuts. Whatever. Point is, actually, I don't know what the point is. I just went off on a rant. I don't like the fact that regulation is over regulation. That's what I don't like. Regulation is good. We need some sort of rules. We need some sort of policies. We need something to abide by. But over regulation is an issue. People feel like, hey, just because a small percentage of the population goes through this, we all got to go through it. And it's like, bro, that's not the way it should be. You know what I mean? Let me see what's next on my list. I wrote this all you can eat approach isn't for everyone. And I spoke about this a little bit too. Like, I do genuinely feel like there has to be some sort of ramifications for, just having a bunch of games that you can play all willy nilly by just paying one fee, you pay a fee every single month and you have access to just countless hours of video game playing. One thing that I noticed for me personally is that it's very easy to not give games a chance just because you have access to them. So, for example, what I mean by that is like, let's say there's a cool little indie title that you've been hearing about, and you're like, this cool little indie. They're typically pretty inexpensive, 10, 15, 20 bucks, 25 bucks. You're like, I can afford that. But a lot of times you find them on Xbox Game Pass for free, right? Or it's not really for free. They like to throw that word around a lot, right? Like, you can play it for free. It's like, no, bro, I just gave you $10 a month. Like, how can you even say the word free? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's such a bastardization of the word free nowadays. But anyways, point is, they'll be like, oh, well, you can try it out with Xbox Game Pass. And you're like, okay, well, I could save 25 bucks. I just paid 10 bucks. I save 15 if I did the math right. I'll give this indie game a try. You try it out for 20 minutes and then you're like, nah, right? As opposed to, like, if you were to actually pay $25 for this game, you would probably play it for much longer than 20 minutes because you paid for it. You invested in it. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I'm wrong there. But me personally, I can't speak for no one else. If I pay for something, I'm more than likely to tinker with it much longer than if I didn't pay for it. You know what I mean? Because it's like I dropped money on it, I invested something in it, so now I'm gonna try to make this work. I tried it for a little bit, and then I was just like, eh. The best example I could think of that paid off immensely and literally changed the way that I view video games forever, still to this day, would be me giving The Elder Scrolls Oblivion a second chance. I might have told the story before, but I'll try to make it quick, which means I'm not going to make it quick. So please bear with me. I remember I was 22. I'm pushing 40 now. So I'm just for reference. I remember I was in my early 20s. I just got fired from a job from Sunoco. And I was like, it's gonna be quite a while before I land another job. I'm in between jobs. I have an Xbox 360. I live in my mom's basement. I need something to play. I go up to my brother's room, which is upstairs, and I tell him I'm talking to him. This is when YouTube just came out. So this was like 2006, 2007. YouTube was brand new and he was looking at video game videos on YouTube. And Oblivion was one of them. And he was just selling Oblivion like a goddamn pitchman. Like, oh, look at the graphics on Oblivion. It looks cool. And I'm looking at him like, you don't even like these type of games, bro. Like, you don't like RPGs or anything. He likes like linear games, shooters and stuff like that. But he's pitching it to me, and I'm like, you know what? It looks like a game that'll take a long time to beat. I was looking for like a game that'll take a minute. So we go to GameStop. I pick it up. I come downstairs to my room. I put it in my Xbox 360. I'm making a character, and my eyes are glossing over as I'm in the character creators. I'm seeing fucking dwarves. Oh, sorry, not dwarves. I'm seeing orcs. Khajiits. Which at that time I was like, what the fuck is this? Cat people? And I'm seeing like humans, and there's Bretons, and then there's Imperials, and I'm like, they're both fucking humans. What is this? What's the difference? I didn't know anything, so forgive me. Take it easy on me. I hated it. I hated it. I couldn't get past the character. Once I saw the orc, I thought Shrek, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And it's just weird because at that same moment, one of my friends, good friend named Space, he that's his graffiti name, by the way. Obviously, it's not his fucking government name. That'd be cool, actually. But at that same moment, he comes downstairs, and I guess my mom must have let him in or whatever. And he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and we're both looking at this orc, and we both start laughing. We burst out laughing. It was like, and he asks what I was thinking. He goes, "What the fuck is this, bro?" I was like, "I have no idea, bro." I was like, "My brother made me get this shit." And I was like, you know what, man, I'm gonna turn this off, and then tomorrow I'm gonna bring it back to GameStop and get another game. He was like, yeah, it's probably a good idea. Me and him go out to eat. We come back. We come back early enough for me to go up to my brother and tell him like, hey, is there any? Because I didn't have a car at the time, and I was like, hey, is there any way you can take me back to GameStop? We got about 2 hours before it closes, and I can get a different game. He was like, I can't do it right now. I'll take you tomorrow. I said, fuck, man. So I come downstairs. I'm bored as shit. It's like 9 at night or something, and I'm like, I don't got nothing to play. All I got is this fucking orc game, like I probably called it. I put it in the Xbox. I'm like, you know what? Let me get past this character creator screen. I actually took my time. I started reading bios, and I was like, I'm not gonna lie, these bios are pretty cool. Like what where these creatures are from and stuff. Then I made my way. I did the tutorial. I thought it was kind of cool. Then I finally made my way out of the sewers, and man, was I glad. Was I glad I finished that tutorial? Like one of the first things I saw was like this lush greenery and this beautiful water. And I was like, oh my God, this game looks beautiful. And I looked at the Golden Tower, I think it's called, in the Imperial City. I forgot the name of it. And I was like, I can go there. Like, that's not just background art. That's just not there to fill in space. Like, I can literally travel to that. This is the first gigantic open world game I've ever played. And I can't explain to you what it did to my little mind. It made me just go crazy with like wonderment and curiosity, and I could not drop this game. I couldn't stop playing this game for weeks upon weeks. This is all I did, hours and hours a day. I was reading the manual front and back. It took me like a week and a half to try to find a gray fox for the Thieves Guild missions. Like I couldn't find them anywhere, and I tried my hardest. Such a cool fucking game, man. And I've been chasing the dragon ever since. And I mean, games have come close. Like The Witcher 3 came really close to scratching that itch, and at times it did. But for the most part, there's nothing. Skyrim was probably the closest thing that scratched that itch, but there was just something about Oblivion that just made it. I don't know. I can't explain it. It hit every note at a high frequency. That's why I always say my favorite games of all time. I said this like 50 times already. Are either Oblivion or The Elder Scrolls Oblivion or Fallout 3. Yeah. So, which by the way, Both of those games are on Xbox Game Pass to segue back to what I was originally talking about. I guess that was my final point of this little list that I wrote down, which was the all you can eat approach isn't for everyone. It can create boredom due to so many choices. Yeah, I do believe that. Like, at least in my case, it's like if you didn't earn any, if you didn't earn it, in my case, if I didn't buy it with my own money, I'm not as invested in it. And when I play Xbox Game Pass, when I see this collection of a bunch of video games, well, not play Xbox Game Pass, when I click the app and I'm able to select video games from the Xbox Game Pass, I feel like I'm spoiled for choice. And I'm just like, I can just play any game for a little bit. It's like hors d'oeuvres, little hors d'oeuvres. I could just play this for a little bit, play that for a little bit, and not give anything a real chance. I don't know. It feels kind of, I feel like, I don't know. It's a spoiled, but not in a, it's, I feel spoiled, but not in a good way. Like, it's kind of like oh man, I'm not giving these games the proper attention and chance that I need because the reason I brought up this long-winded story, sorry if I bored you guys with that, but the reason I brought up this long-winded story of Oblivion was because like I if I never gave that game a second chance, let's say if my brother would have been like, "Hey, I can take you to GameStop right now, fuck it." And then we go a second time that day and I would have exchanged Oblivion for a different game, right? I never would have got that sense of wonderment. I never would have like then I never would have discovered the best video game I've ever played in my life. Sounds dramatic, but I'm not trying to be dramatic. I mean that. Like, that was the best video game I ever played in my life. So it's like I could have missed out on that if I didn't give it a second chance. And how does this tie up with Xbox Game Pass? It's like how many games have people missed and glossed over or played for a little bit because they didn't give it a second chance? They didn't sit there and give it the right amount of attention, right? They could have just skipped out on such an amazing experience, but they're just like, I'll play this. I'll play that. I'll play this. So that's another thing that I worry about, just people not giving games the proper respect, the proper time, and kind of just picking at them. Now, I know that at the end of the day, you got to make a dollar, right? That's like the main priority. In order for you to keep the lights on, you have to make money. And Xbox is paying, from what I hear at least, they're paying these publishers, these video game developers, these companies, they're paying them money so that they're getting what they want. But like, imagine if you were a developer and someone said, "Here's a giant check because people played your game," and then you go, "Awesome, man! Did they love it?" Oh, that's a different story. I said they played your game. I didn't say they loved it. Oh, yeah, yeah, they played the average person. We got the statistics there. They're just in the average person played them for like an hour and then just gave up. What? How many people did that? 90% of people. Oh shit. So people don't really love my game, but I'm still getting paid because so many played for it. Many played it. Yeah, you had a high volume of players, but none of them stuck around to finish the game. How would that make you feel as a developer? Like, you'll be like, "Damn, like I got my goal done. I got the money. I got this check here in my hand." But I know there has to be a sense of like, "God damn, is that me? Is it the current climate? Is it people's attention spans are getting shorter? Is it me? Did I not create an engaging enough game?" I don't know. These things I think about. And that would suck, right? Like, I wouldn't like that. Like, I want people to drool over my game the way I drool over the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, "Yo, this game changed my life." Like, it's very dramatic, I know, but imagine somebody told you that. That feels way better than, "Hey, here's a giant check. They only played your game for an hour." I don't know. Maybe I'm in a minority here. I have no idea. But other than those type of implications, I can't think of any more. I'm sure I'm probably glossed over a major glaring issue that my brain can't even fathom right now because I don't write this down. I mean, I write some notes down, but everything that I'm saying right now, as you can tell, it's not exactly, you know, uh, eloquent or well written. It's just it comes off the mind. Sorry if it's all jumbled up and the segues get lost in between rants. But this is the only way I can operate. I'm not big on scripts. I'm not big. I feel like those are cool and they have their uses, but I feel like it's better to just go off the heart. You know what I mean? Like, it comes off more pure and it can get you in trouble sometimes. Like, whenever I talk politically or I talk about woke stuff like earlier, I'm pretty sure there's someone there just foaming at the mouth like, "This motherfucker doesn't know what he's talking about. He's a goddamn bigot." I don't know why I said that voice, that accent. I don't know why it has to be. Whatever. It's good stuff. so far. We'll see the long-lasting implications as time goes on. But I'm saying all this shit like I didn't just cancel my Xbox Game Pass subscription, which I did. But that's only because there's two games right now that I've been playing a shitload of. One is Seven Days to Die. Me and a couple buddies have been playing that faithfully, but it's running its end. It's running. It's at the tail end of its run through. Like I'm already kind of getting bored of it because I created two different characters. One is level 50, the other is level 40 something. So it's like I think I've played this game enough to get my jollies off. Starfield, I'm currently running through the main story mode, and I played over 200 hours of Starfield, and I feel like that's also running its course. So right now I'm just finishing the game finally. So maybe my next video would be my thoughts on Starfield if anybody's interested in that. Um, and what else was I saying? And I'm also looking at this Day Before game, right? This game is so fucking controversial, right? Some people say might not ever come out, and I'm looking at the trailers and I'm kind of excited for this game. I don't know how this is going to work out. It's like a cross between like GTA and The Division. It's also a survival game and it's also an MMO. It sounds like it's way too good to be true. One of my friends has told me already like, "Hey man, hold your money, wait for the reviews." Uh I don't know. I'm pretty excited about it, I'm not going to lie, even though I don't have the highest of faith that this game's going to hold out. But hey, man, you never know. I love to be proved wrong, you know? So that's that. All in all, I do see myself reactivating my subscription for Xbox Game Pass in the future when I see something that like catches my eye. Sometimes I think like maybe I should have just stuck to the subscription just to play Starfield, but I was one of the guys that paid $100 for not only the early access but also the upcoming DLC for Starfield and also the base game. And the way I see it is like I'm making an investment. I know that sounds stupid, but like I'm paying $100, but it's an investment because I have Starfield in my library forever. I mean, sure, you could pay $10 for a game. You could pay $5 for a game and have that in your library forever. So Starfield's not exclusive on that front. But what I am saying is, like, I know this is a game that's going to be worked on for years. I can't say that about other games in my library. They have already said that. They said Starfield is a game that we are going to be working on for years, and I believe it, given their track record. So, um, we'll see. Maybe that's bullshit. Maybe 2 years down the line, they're like, we're done. You know what I mean? You'll never know. But like, I don't see this game being abandoned anytime soon. I believe that there's a lot of potential here. Although I do feel quick review is it's a little bit bland, a little bit too um, politically correct, a little bit too sterilized. Uh, but I'm still having fun with it all in all. Whatever. I talked your ear off enough. See you guys later. Maybe Starfield might be the next video. Maybe some other weird, random, obscure shit. Maybe. Who knows? Be safe, y'all.